Okay, game six here, and this one is a nice one. Contrast of styles kind of thing here, you'll see. So looking at the board, there's Vineyards on it, and there's Candlestick Maker and Haven and Herbalist. Lots of cheap actions, lots of plus buy. Looks like a Vineyard Rush. I don't like playing mirror Vineyard Rushes, because that is just a different kettle of fish by itself. You have to play very, very aggressively, um, almost nearly open potion, and I don't know. I don't like it. And there's a few like minor points depending on the kingdom with your Vineyard Rush on what to do here. Anyways, so I'm expecting a Vineyard Rush here, and I have the 5-2. What I eventually end up deciding on the 5-2 is to go with Apprentice and Haven, which in retrospect looks kind of bad, honestly. I think something like Spy and Herbalist or Spy and Candlestick Maker would be better for pursuing the Vineyard Rush plan, because that's what I was going for from the beginning of this game here. There's no real way to play any kind of consistent money strategy. There's nothing like Jack, right? Like if there was Jack, Jack is extremely resilient and maybe could throttle the provinces fast enough, maybe. Or Embassy, for example, Embassy and Tunnel, some kind of strong, resilient money strategy, but there's no such thing here. And actually, my opponent borrows for an apprentice. I was surprised to see them borrow for the apprentice. I mean, I don't think you want the apprentice that badly that you would borrow for it, and potentially gimp your next hand, which ends up happening. They only have two, but they pick up the Candlestick Maker here, which is fine. I do go for the apprentice. My idea was to just trim the estates out so I have more money density in my deck. And I pick up the Haven. Why? Well, I want to try to trash a little bit more reliably. So if the Apprentice turns up with no estates, I could potentially store that away and have it catch an estate on the following turn. So they on 3 my opponent by silver, and that tips me off. My opponent might not be going for this Vineyard Rush strategy. But one other thing, if you're going for the Vineyards, is that Philosopher's Stone is there. So I mean, I don't know if it'll ever come down to a situation where you will buy a Philosopher's Stone, but it could be worth a decent chunk of money. You could get like a duchy, maybe a province if you're lucky. If there's a Phil Stone in your deck, but you're not concentrating on that, right? Just something to bear in mind in case you need to pick up one. So here, seeing the silver from my opponent, I go for the potion right away. And this is where I should have this is where opening with the Herbalist would have been better, right? Because if I have the potion this early, I should have the Herbalist as well, so I could stick that potion back on top of my deck. And in fact, I should have quite a few Herbalists, like 3 or 4 of them, maybe even 5 of them. I mean, it's action that counts for points, and it helps take your potion back, right? So I do pick up the Herbalist now, which is a bit late. My opponent trashes the estate here and goes for gold, so yeah, that looks like money to me. That looks like 100% money strategy, but doing it with the apprentice, I know that they're going to run into trouble eventually, and they will have to start cutting their good cards at some point in the deck. They'll have to cut their silvers, their golds, the other apprentice, maybe even a province, so they won't have as many points. If they do cut the province, and if they cut their money, they can't buy anything good. So I wasn't worried at all seeing this apprentice and money strategy. I felt fairly confident Vineyards could come through for me here. And I am just gonna pick up a lot of plus buy. I only end up picking up the one Herbalist very early, and my majority of buys through the middle of the game was Candlestick Makers. Like I said, I feel like that is a mistake, and I should have picked up more Herbalists up front rather than the Candlestick Makers. The Candlestick Maker is nicer. When you have a handful of Vineyards and you have 3 or 4 coin tokens on your back, you feel nice. At least I can still pick up an action. So here, 4 potion, 3 buys Vineyard, and what is this, double stick, right? Here I could have picked up another Herbalist. For sure I should have picked up another Herbalist, right? Right, so here, gold for my opponent, just trying to get their money density up before they go for the provinces. Fine, fine. any hand with a potion in it, I am gonna buy Vineyard, so I have two of them already. Um, I was hoping with the Haven, maybe it could help the Herbalist and the Vineyard lineup, but that's a kind of a long shot given that there's only one Haven. So I do get a bit lucky here during this game because I am able to top deck that potion quite a few times with the Herbalist. I push a coin token here, going to pick up what looks like a Haven here. I do store the Herbalist here, hoping to see the potion on the next shuffle. And I do cut a copper with the Apprentice, which I think is wrong in retrospect here. You don't cut the coppers. They're important for your economy to pick up the little 2 costs in your deck. I shouldn't be cutting the coppers. I mean, I suppose it's okay given that, I mean, there's a lot of candlestick makers in the deck and they're like sort of coppers in a sense. But I don't think I should have been doing that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, if I cut the copper, I don't know. If I cut the coppers, then I'll see the potion more often. Here I do see the potion with the Herbalist. So that gets tossed back on top the deck. Able to pick up 2 Vineyards in this one shuffle for me here. So things just going very well for me at this point. I am getting the necessary luck and I'm just buying actions on Vineyards. No big deal. No big deal. Even here instead of the Candlestick Maker because now the deck is a bit more junky. So I want to push forward so I can see my potion more quickly. So the Haven draws a card is what I'm saying. The Candlestick Maker doesn't draw a card. And hopefully I could pay off the Herbalist and the potion again. So yeah, a little bit of inaccuracies here from me, but all in all, I still think I'm doing the better thing on the board here. My opponent has managed to pick up a couple provinces at this point, but I'm still a little bit ahead on the Vineyards here. I do pick up a couple Havens after spending all of my coin tokens there. Province number 3 for my opponent, so we are closer now. Here I could store the potion hoping to see the Herbalist, but I just go for the sure buy here with the potion. And actually I should have started because there was no way I was missing the shuffle. So yeah, look, I just found another improvement I could have made there. 8 for my opponent is another province, so he's halfway through them now, or has 5. No, yeah, he's halfway through them. Even here I could store a cup, and I have quite a bit of money this turn, and a lot of buys actually. Some decision as to whether to store the Herbalist just so we could find the potion, but I don't think that's right. I think I just toss it back in the deck and shuffle everything together and hope it comes with the potion. 4 buys, that's a lot of buys. I don't have enough money to make use of all these buys actually. And once again, borrow being on the board is actually quite significant because you don't have to quite get to that price point. You could get close enough and borrow will take you to that point. So here I borrow and I'm able to make more use of my buys because I only had 5 but 3 buys though. I end up with 6 and triple haven just to try to find that potion to try and search it out because Vineyard Rush means you try to pile out the game right on Vineyards and some cheap action somewhere. So Haven's almost gone. And the next pile is Candlestick Makers. And another reason why I'm not worried about the provinces is that I could just convert this from a rush to a slug, right? I don't have to empty the Candlestick Makers. I could just, switch over and empty the Herbalists and push it down to like 1 Herbalist, 1 Candlestick Maker. Then I have something like 30 actions in my deck, and I don't think my opponent could catch up with that. 30 actions is what, 10-point Vineyards, and 8 of them is 80 points. Is there 80 points in the province, duchies, and estates? I don't know. So, completely safe, I feel here. Just finishing off the Havens. Picking up a Candlestick Maker along the way here. Here's the potion. Here's the potion. My opponent has 6 of the provinces now. But again, still not worried. I'm going to store a Candlestick Maker here. And here, obviously going to store this Candlestick Maker because I see the Herbalist in time to connect it with the potion, and I borrow here instead of using a coin token because I know I have 2 sticks in the back, 2 candlestick makers, and maybe could push for a pile out next turn with the potion. And this hand gives it to me, right? I can play all my candlestick makers, borrow, and pick up the last vineyard and the last candlestick makers. So here you see what happens with the apprentice deck. He has to start chopping silver, and then you'll see him chop gold here. He does get the province off of it, but it is not sustainable. Like, he can't do that for very long. He's gonna run out of fuel at some point. And like I said, he cannot chop points. He cannot chop points. I'm like ahead of him on points, right? So he can't mill provinces, so to speak, with the apprentices. He has to keep all his points. So he's able to get to province here for the 7th time this game, but the vineyards are going to come through. So nice little game to finish off here. Nice contrast of styles. That is match 3 for you here. We finished 3 apiece, and I have 2 matches left. So I'll see you then. Please feel free to leave comments, feedback, questions. I'd love to hear them. And I'll see you in the next matches, hopefully. Thanks for watching.